Be me, 30-year-old feminist, activist, and blogger with over 50K followers, spent the last decade fighting the patriarchy and calling out toxic masculinity. Written countless threads about believing all women no matter what. Have a younger brother, Jake, who is 28. Always thought he was one of the good ones because he never argued with me about feminism. He would just nod and say, "Sure, sis," whenever I went on my rants. I thought I had educated him properly about his male privilege. Jake is an engineer, makes good money, has his own apartment, always been quiet, keeps to himself, has a small circle of friends, never married, rarely dates, mostly focuses on his career and hobbies, used to bug him about settling down and finding a good woman. He would just shrug and say he is happy with his life as it is. Thought he was just scared of commitment like most men. One day get a frantic call from Mom. Jake has been arrested. My first thought is maybe a DUI or something minor. Mom is crying, saying a woman accused him of assault. I feel my stomach drop, but immediately my feminist brain kicks in. Think to myself that statistically false accusations are rare. Remind myself that I have always said we must believe women. Feel conflicted because this is my brother, but also my principles. Decide to wait and see what the facts are. Jake gets released on bail, comes to stay with our parents. He looks destroyed, lost 20 pounds, dark circles under eyes. Tells us this woman Emily was someone he went on 2 dates with 3 months ago. Said the dates were fine, but there was no chemistry. He politely told her he did not see it going anywhere. She seemed upset, but he thought that was the end of it. Now she is claiming he assaulted her after their second date. Jake swears nothing happened. He dropped her off at her place and went home. Has receipts, text messages, everything showing she was fine after. She even texted him the next day, asking when they could meet again. He showed us the messages where he politely declined. She got angry, called him names, said no one rejects her. Then nothing for 3 months until the police showed up. Sitting there looking at the evidence and my brother's face. He has never lied to me in his entire life. We were close as kids. He was always the honest one. But my ideology is screaming at me that women do not lie about this. Find myself in a mental war between family and feminism. Decide to publicly stay neutral, which Jake seems to understand. He does not ask me to post about it or defend him. Just asks me to be there for him emotionally. His case starts getting attention because Emily goes to the media. She does interviews, posts on social media, starts a whole campaign, talking about how the system protects men like my brother, how she is so brave for coming forward, watching her rack up supporters and donations for her trauma, see my own followers sharing her story. Some of them tag me, asking if this is my brother. I do not respond because I do not know what to say. Jake's lawyer gets more evidence. Turns out Emily has done this before to 2 other men. Both cases were dropped due to lack of evidence. One guy lost his job anyway. The other had to move cities. Lawyer also finds out Emily was catfishing multiple men at the same time. She had a pattern of getting angry when rejected. Bring this up to some of my feminist friends privately. They tell me that past behavior does not matter, that bringing up her history is victim blaming. One friend says even if Jake is innocent, this conversation helps all abusers feel like I am losing my mind. Watch as Jake loses his job because his company does not want the bad press. He worked there for 6 years, had great reviews, was up for promotion, gone in one meeting with HR. His friends start distancing themselves. Some publicly post support for Emily without knowing the full story. Jake stops leaving the house, barely eats, just stares at walls. Mom is crying every day. Dad looks like he aged 10 years. Meanwhile, Emily is thriving on social media. She has a GoFundMe that raised over 40K, doing podcasts about survivorship and bravery, writing articles about how society silences women. Every time I see her face, I feel rage but also cognitive dissonance. My whole ideology says I should support her, but I know my brother. I have seen the evidence. Start quietly looking into false accusations for the first time ever. Always dismiss them as MRA talking points before. Find out they are more common than I thought. Find stories of men who lost everything. Feel sick reading them because I have mocked these men online. Told them they were probably guilty anyway. Said that false accusations were a small price to pay for women's safety. Actually tweeted once that I would rather 10 innocent men go to jail than 1 guilty man go free. That tweet has 15K likes, still on my profile. Look at it now and feel like I do not recognize the person who wrote it. Jake's trial date gets set. He has to sell his car to pay legal fees. The public defender was useless, so he hired a real lawyer. Cost him his entire savings plus money from our parents. Emily's lawyer is working pro bono because of the publicity. She has victim advocacy groups supporting her. Jake has us and his lawyer, that is it. One of his old friends actually starts a small fundraiser for his legal costs. Gets attacked online for supporting an accused abuser. The fundraiser gets reported and taken down. His friend apologizes to Jake but says he cannot help anymore. Jake just nods like he expected it. Notice that Jake has become very quiet and detached. He does not talk about the future anymore. He does not make plans or have hope in his voice. Just goes through the motions of preparing for trial. Catch him one night just sitting in the dark. Ask him if he is okay. He laughs this hollow laugh and says, "Does it matter?" Tell him, "Of course it matters. We are going to fight this." He looks at me with these empty eyes. Says, "Even if I win, I have already lost everything." Says, "My name is ruined. My career is over. My friends are gone." Says, "And you know what the worst part is?" I ask what. He says, "The worst part is that you hesitated. Feel like he punched me in the stomach." He says, "You're my sister and even you were not sure." Try to stammer out a response. He holds up his hand and says, "It's okay, I understand." Says, "Your ideology is more important than family. I get it." Leaves the room and I just sit there feeling like garbage. Spend all night thinking about what he said. Realize he is right. I did hesitate. I chose my political beliefs over my own brother. Start thinking about all the men I have publicly condemned. All the times I said, "Believe women without question." All the accused men I mocked and called trash. Wonder how many of them were like Jake. How many were innocent and I helped destroy them. Feel this creeping horror at what I have been part of. Trial finally starts after months of waiting. Emily takes the stand in designer clothes her GoFundMe bought. Tells her story with perfect tears at perfect moments. Talks about her trauma and her fear and her bravery. Watch the jury eat it up, especially the women. See them looking at Jake with disgust. Jake's lawyer cross-examines her. Brings up the text messages, the prior accusations, the timeline inconsistencies. Emily has an answer for everything. Says she was afraid to come forward sooner. Says the other accusations were real, but she dropped them to avoid trauma. Says the friendly texts after were her trying to normalize what happened to her. It all sounds rehearsed, but also plausible if you want to believe her. He can see the jury is sympathetic to her. Jake takes the stand. He is calm, factual, goes through everything clearly. Shows his receipts, his messages, his timeline. Explains how he politely rejected her. Under cross-examination, Emily's lawyer destroys him. Asks why a woman would lie about this. Asks if he thinks he is so special that women cannot handle his rejection. Paints him as an arrogant man who thinks he is too good for women. Jake tries to explain, but everything he says sounds defensive. Prosecutor asks, "Is it not true that you have never had a serious relationship?" Jake admits it is true. Prosecutor says, "Is it because you do not respect women?" Jake says no, he just prefers being single. Prosecutor makes it sound sinister, like he uses women. Watch my brother being turned into a monster for being a normal guy. Closing arguments happen. Emily's lawyer talks about how hard it is for women to come forward, how we must believe victims or they will never report, how men like Jake think they can get away with anything. Jake's lawyer presents the evidence, the inconsistencies, the pattern, but it sounds weak against the emotional appeal. Jury goes to deliberate, takes them 3 days. Come back with a verdict, not guilty. Feel this wave of relief wash over me. Look at Jake expecting to see relief on his face too. He just looks tired. Emily bursts into tears. Her supporters gasp and cry. The court clears out with people glaring at Jake. Outside the courthouse, Emily does a press conference. Says the system failed her. Says this proves women are not believed. Says she will continue to speak her truth. Her supporters rally around her, trending hashtags, more donations. Jake just gets in the car and goes home. No celebration, no relief, just exhaustion. Think it is over now. That Jake can rebuild his life. So fucking wrong. The not guilty verdict means nothing to public opinion. Articles come out about how the justice system fails victims. Emily becomes a bigger activist than ever. Gets book deals, speaking engagements, becomes a professional victim. Jake cannot find work because his name is permanently linked to the case. Every Google search shows the accusation first. Acquittal buried. He applies to dozens of jobs. Gets no callbacks. Even interviews with smaller companies end when they look him up. His old friends never come back. Women on dating apps recognize his name and unmatch or send hateful messages. He ends up having to move to a different state and change careers entirely. He takes a job doing manual labor under a supervisor who does not care about his past and makes a third of what he used to make. Lives in a tiny studio apartment in a bad part of town. All his savings gone, his reputation gone, his future gone, and Emily is on talk shows discussing her advocacy work. Watching all this happen breaks something in me. Finally really understand what men have been trying to tell us. That an accusation alone is enough to destroy a life. That believe all women means guilty until proven innocent, and still guilty after. That due process matters, because human beings lie sometimes regardless of gender. Start looking at my past activism with horror. All the men I helped condemn without evidence. All the times I said their lives did not matter compared to believing women. That tweet about preferring innocent men in jail haunts me. Try to talk to my feminist friends about what happened. They tell me Jake is probably guilty anyway since most abusers go free. Say that even if he is innocent, centering men's experiences helps the patriarchy. One tells me I am being brainwashed by male victimhood narratives. Another says I am a traitor to women for doubting Emily. Get vague posted about in feminist circles. Some of my followers start dropping off when I stop posting my usual content. Realize I have to choose between my ideology and reality, between my community and my integrity. Decide to write a blog post about what happened. Spend weeks writing and rewriting it. Finally post it, explaining everything. The evidence, the aftermath, what I learned. Title it, I was wrong about false accusations. The backlash is immediate and nuclear. Former friends call me a rape apologist. Get accused of being paid off by men's rights activists. Death threats in my DMs from people who claim to fight for justice. Lose thousands of followers in days. Now get doxxed. My employer gets harassed. I nearly lose my job. Other feminists write response pieces about how I am setting the movement back. Emily herself posts about me, does not name me but clearly subtweets, talks about how even women betray victims. Her followers find me and make my life hell, but also get messages from men, thanking me for speaking up, sharing their own stories of false accusations. Stories that break my heart because I know they are telling the truth. One guy tells me his story, and I realize I actually tweeted about his case. I called him a rapist who deserved prison. He was later proven innocent through video evidence. To try to apologize, but he has blocked me. Do not blame him. Sit with the weight of the damage I have caused. All the men whose lives I helped ruin from my keyboard. All the times I valued ideology over truth. Jake and I talk more now. He has accepted his new life, but I can see he is not the same person. The light is gone from his eyes. He does not trust people anymore. He definitely does not date or even try. Works his labor job, goes home, plays video games, sleeps, repeat. Tells me he understands why men are going their own way now. Says, why would any man risk this? Says, one bad date, one rejection, and your life is over. Says, even being proven innocent does not matter. Tells me about communities of men online who have opted out completely. Men who do not date, do not mentor women at work, do not put themselves in situations where they could be accused. I used to mock these men, called them pathetic losers who hate women. Now I see they are just terrified. Terrified of what happened to Jake happening to them. Terrified that their lives can be destroyed by an accusation with no evidence. Terrified that society will believe them guilty even when proven innocent. And they are right to be terrified. Because I saw it happen to the best man I know. My brother who never hurt anyone, who was always kind and respectful, who lost everything because he politely rejected someone. Think about how dating must feel for men now. Every interaction is a potential life-ending accusation. Every rejection could make them a target. The safest choice is to opt out completely. And women like me made it this way. We created a system where accusation equals guilt, where men have no presumption of innocence, where even acquittal does not restore what was taken. We told ourselves we were protecting women, but we just created a weapon that destroys lives. A weapon that people like Emily can use for revenge or attention or money, and actual assault victims get lost in the noise. Because when everything is assault, nothing is. When we believe all accusations uncritically, we believe none of them properly. Jake asks me what I am going to do now. Tell him I do not know. He says, you could keep speaking up. Tell him I have already lost my platform and community. He shrugs and says, I lost more than that for doing nothing wrong. He is right. Decide to keep writing even though no one wants to hear it. Document everything that happened. Share stories from men who reach out to me. Try to advocate for due process and presumption of innocence. It does not make me popular. I am persona non grata in feminist circles now. Men's rights activists do not trust me because of my past. I exist in this weird middle ground. But at least I can live with myself now. At least I am not destroying innocent lives from my keyboard anymore. See Emily sometimes still, trending on social media. She has made a career out of being a victim. Gets paid thousands for speaking engagements. Has a book coming out about surviving assault and the justice system. Lives in a nice apartment paid for by donations and advances. While my brother lives in poverty in another state. The injustice of it makes me want to scream. But I understand now that the system is not set up for truth. It is set up for narrative. And the narrative is always believe women, evidence be damned. Jake calls me on his birthday. He is 30 now, sounds old and tired. Ask him how he is celebrating. He laughs and says he is not. Says birthdays remind him of the life he should have had. By 30 he thought he would be senior engineer, maybe looking at houses. Instead, he is a warehouse worker living paycheck to paycheck. Tell him I am sorry for the 1000th time. He says it is not my fault. But we both know I was part of the problem. We both know I helped create the culture that destroyed him. Tells me he does not blame me anymore. Says I was indoctrinated like everyone else. Says the important thing is I see the truth now. We talk for a while about nothing important. Before we hang up, he says something that sticks with me. Says, you know what I miss most? Ask him what. Says, I miss believing that if you are a good person, good things happen to you. Says, I miss thinking the world was fair. Says, I miss not being afraid all the time. Hang up and cry for an hour. This is what we did. We took good men and taught them the world is not safe for them. We taught them that their goodness does not matter, that their innocence does not protect them, that their lives are disposable in service of an ideology. And we called it progress, called it believing women, called it fighting the patriarchy. But really we just created a different kind of injustice, one where half the population lives in fear, where men opt out of society because participation is too risky, where families are destroyed by false accusations, where the truth does not matter as much as the narrative. Spend a lot of time thinking about all of this now, about how I got here, how I went from wanting equality to wanting revenge, how I went from fighting injustice to perpetuating it. Realize that somewhere along the way, feminism stopped being about equality, became about punishment, about making men suffer for the sins of other men, about collective guilt and collective punishment. We became what we claimed to fight against. Oppressors convinced we were liberators. Try to figure out how to make amends, but the damage is done. The men I helped condemn are still condemned. My brother's life is still ruined. Emily is still profiting from her lies, and the system keeps chugging along, destroying lives in the name of believing women. Get messages sometimes from other women who have brothers or sons or friends, women who are starting to see what I saw, who are watching the men they love get destroyed, who are questioning the ideology for the first time. Try to help them process it. Tell them what I learned, that truth matters more than narrative, that due process protects everyone, that men are human beings who deserve fairness, that we can support assault victims without destroying the innocent. Some of them get it. Some call me a traitor and block me. The ones who get it usually got there through pain, through watching someone they love suffer. Funny how personal experience destroys ideology, how abstract principles crumble when facing real consequences. I was happy to sacrifice nameless men to my cause, but when it was my brother, suddenly truth mattered. I have to live with being that hypocritical. I have to live with the fact that I only cared when it affected me personally. Jake is doing slightly better now. Met a few guys at work who do not care about his past. Has a small friend group again. Still does not date. Says he never will. Says the risk is not worth any potential reward. Cannot argue with him after what he went through. Think about all the lonely men out there making the same calculation. Good men who would be good partners and fathers. Opting out because the system is stacked against them. And we wonder why men are going their own way. We created this. Women like me created this. With our believe all. Women hashtags and our guilty until proven innocent mentality. With our mockery of men's rights and our dismissal of their concerns, we pushed them out and then called them misogynists for leaving. The irony would be funny if it was not so tragic. Sometimes wonder what I could have been if I had used my platform for actual justice instead of ideological warfare. If I had valued truth over narrative from the beginning. If I had listened to the men trying to tell us this was happening. But I did not. I was too sure I was right. Too invested in my identity as a feminist warrior. Too comfortable in my online echo chamber. And my brother paid the price. So did countless other men I will never meet. I have to live with that. No amount of apologizing or advocating now will undo the damage. But maybe I can prevent some future Jakes from being destroyed. Maybe I can reach some young feminist before she becomes what I was. Maybe some good can come from this nightmare. Doubt it most days, though. Mostly I just feel tired and sad, watching my brother survive rather than live, watching Emily thrive on her lies, watching the same pattern repeat with new accusations and new men, and knowing I helped build this machine that chews up innocent men and spits out broken shells, all in the name of progress and believing women. We told ourselves we were making the world safer, but we just made it crueler. Crueler to men who now live in fear. Crueler to actual victims who get lost in the false accusation noise. Crueler to families torn apart by lies. Crueler to everyone except the people who weaponize the system. Those people thrive. Jake told me something recently that I think about a lot. Said that he understands now why some men become bitter. Said he has to actively fight against it every day. Fight against hating women even though a woman destroyed his life. Fight against becoming the misogynist the world already thinks he is. Said it would be easier to just give in to the anger. But he does not want to prove them right. Even after everything, he is still trying to be good. More than I can say for myself. I gave in to ideology. Gave in to the comfort of certainty and the pleasure of righteous anger. Became the thing I thought I was fighting. An oppressor. A destroyer of lives. All while thinking I was one of the good guys. That is the real horror of it. Not that I was evil, but that I thought I was good. Thought I was fighting for justice while perpetuating injustice. Thought I was protecting the vulnerable while attacking the innocent. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I helped lay down the whole fucking highway. Do not know how to end this story. Because it does not end. Jake will live with this for the rest of his life. Emily will probably keep profiting from her lies. Men will keep going their own way to protect themselves. And women like I used to be will keep calling them pathetic for it. The machine keeps running, keeps destroying lives, and anyone who speaks up gets crushed by it. Guess the only ending is this. I finally understand why men are terrified. Because I watched my brother be destroyed for doing nothing wrong. Watched the system I supported chew him up. Watched his innocence mean nothing. And realized too late that I was part of the problem. Now I have to live with that. We all do.